The light and heavy versions of Rejected Truth have seen an adjustment to prevent them from interacting strangely with Brave Counter in the corner. Before, if Avatar Belial used these moves and the opponent Brave Counter, the projectile hitbox would linger on them, which could potentially either lead them to being punished depending on the timing, or just under duress still. Now, the rocks will continue off-screen, which means that the opponent is no longer being hit by this option. This is a small nerf to Avatar Belial, but I don't think it's one that he's going to severely care about. The pushback on heavy Rejected Truth has also been increased. And this is what it used to look like. I would argue that the increased pushback is a buff for Avatar Belial, as it means he's able to push the opponent closer and closer to the corner far faster using this option, which means he's able to access his higher damage combo routes easier and from farther away. The medium version of Destructive Delusions has seen several buffs. We'll go ahead and just outline a very simple one in terms of the projectile startup. Before, it used to be 20 frames. The startup is now 16 frames. This does have some implications to the potential links he can do in combos. As a very specific and easy example, before he wasn't able to link a close medium into this fireball. Now he can. I don't know if this is going to have any sort of optimal usage for the character, but it's still something that's worth noting out just in case it does have any impact. Other changes are to its recovery, projectile travel startup speed, and the projectile speed itself. This is how the move used to look before, hitting at frame 43 from full screen. Here's how it looks at full screen in the new version. It hits at frame 36 now from full screen. This is a pretty nice buff for his zoning pressure altogether. The recovery was also reduced by 1, and with the changes to startup, the total duration of the move is no longer 53 frames, but instead 48 frames. The frame advantage on block is now -5 instead of -6. Not that this has really too many practical applications. I don't think Avatar Belial is going to be planning to end his block string at medium Destructive Delusions anytime soon because of that change. The zoning is more important here. The Ultimate version's Destructive Delusions projectile speed has also been increased. This is what it looked like before, hitting at frame 25. Here's what it looks like at full screen now. Hits at frame 20 now from full screen, a difference of 5 frames. That can have a lot of micro implications in matchups. Stolas has received a very important change against an opponent on counter hit. Before, it would cause the opponent to be launched. However, you'd be hard-pressed to find a natural link from this situation. You usually have to spend a packed follow-up here. Now, Stolas no longer launches the opponent, but instead puts the opponent into a grounded crouch state on counter hit. This means Avatar Belial is able to naturally combo off of this without having to spend packed. This is a nice buff for Stolas, as Avatar Belial typically uses this as a built-in throw shimmy. If he got a counter hit on the opponent, it really didn't make too much of a difference, as he had to go for a packed follow-up anyway. Now, if he's able to get a grounded counter hit, he's going to be able to just follow up naturally without having to spend that resource immediately and get longer, higher damaging combos for it. The timing of all this is very important, though, as you're most likely to get a punish counter against the throw tech. So you still have to spend packed here. Of course, some of this is still left up to chance. If the opponent goes for throw too early, Avatar is likely to get a punish counter, which doesn't give him the ability to naturally link. So you have to spend packed here. If, however, the opponent has a delayed throw timing or delayed mash timing, it's more likely you'll get a counter hit. So I feel like this should be able to work in most matchups against high-level opponents. The recovery of Habac on the ground has been reduced by 5 frames, and the grounded hit stun has been increased by 2 frames. At point-blank range, this has a very simple implication. Before, with the 26 frames of recovery and the 18 frames of hit stun, you were able to link into a close medium afterwards. You cannot, however, link into a close heavy. With the new 21 frames of recovery, down from 26, and the new hit stun of 20 frames, up from 18, Avatar Belial can actually link a close heavy here. This does mean if you choose to use this as a frame trap for some reason, you do get more combo rewards for it, and if you're able to fit this into a combo, you can link into higher damage overall. More practically speaking, the recovery just means that you're able to throw this move out neutral and be a little safer for it. Belial will appreciate that. Again, another buff to his overall zoning. The charge version also sees similar buffs. The startup used to be 49 frames, it had 5 active frames, and it had 12 frames of recovery. With the block stun here and the 12 frames of recovery, you see that you are plus 10. Now, the startup has been reduced to 40 frames, so it's 9 frames faster. There are 3 more active frames, so it's active for 8 frames, and the recovery was reduced to 9 frames, so you recover 3 frames faster. You are still plus 10 on block in this situation. The moral of the story here, though, is that Avatar's Belial zoning tool here has been improved in effectiveness overall. It's strange to see that they are deciding to give him more full-screen presence here, but as he is a squishy character that can die very quickly, I think he appreciates having more options to play it slow and safe. Avatar Belial received a small change to Pact, where the invincibility will now wear off on block. Patch notes say that this is to prevent an issue where he cannot be punished on block after following up a skill with Pact. In my testing, I haven't been able to find any sort of situation where this actually occurs, so maybe this is just a very niche thing that happened overall, or an occasional bug that would happen within the game itself. If any Avatar Belial main can give a little more elaboration on this change, let me know. But for right now, it very much feels like it's just a bug fix to make the move behave as intended. When used as follow-ups to the heavy version of his skills, both the Pact Kicked and the Pact Step have several changes to them. Let's take a look at the Kick follow-up first. Against an airborne opponent, the mid-air hit stun has been increased by 40 frames. You'll also notice that it now wall bounces once you're able to get it connected to the corner. This opens up a lot of potential combo routing for Avatar Belial in the mid-screen as he gets closer to the corner. Here's how it behaved before. Not any combo potential off of this follow-up. One thing that has me confused is that it says on counter hit it used to cause a wall bounce, but now instead it launches the foes vertically. However, in the old patch, I'm not getting a wall bounce, I'm getting a vertical launch against the opponent. This is how it behaves in the current patch. As you can see, it's the same sort of hit right there, and you can also get that link in the previous patch, so I'm not sure what the note on counter hit is all about. The Pact Step follow-up after heavy moves has also seen several buffs. It has the same mid-air hit stun buff applied, where now you have a full 60 frames of hit stun to work with. The lateral knockback has been reduced on counter hit and anti-air hit, which we can understand is just an aerial hit. But there's now also a very important thing in which it causes a ground bounce on those particular hits. This means he's now able to convert from these far-range hits into full combos that lead into corner carry, knockdown, and okazemi. It's a big buff for him. Compare that to before. Practically nothing for spending your health on that conversion. The situation on counter hit hardly fared any better, too. Yeah, you closed the gap and got a knockdown, but you spent your life for that. Compare that to the current version. Again, a lot more opportunities for Belial to get great rewards here. One thing I will note is that the patch notes themselves say that the Pact follow-ups now share the same effects as the heavy skill they follow up, but I haven't been able to find a meaningful difference between the behavior of these moves based on what special move I used to lead into them before. My current running theory for this is that it simply is something that applies to the combo limit of the game, basically saying that if you use the Pact follow-ups, you're not increasing your combo limit after you use it after a heavy special move. That's my running theory at the moment. If any Avatar Belial main out there is able to clarify this, I'd greatly appreciate it just so we can all learn. I'll pin that comment to the top of the post if it does come around. The buffs to the Pact follow-ups are huge for Avatar Belial in terms of his ability to combo off of particular starters. For example, when he's near the corner, check out what he can get off his EX command grab now that he's able to use the kicked follow-up of Pact in order to get a punish. Shoutouts to Garafu for the tech. $9,500 damage for it. Pretty good. For comparison's sake, this is what you would get before. Yeah, huge difference. In conjunction with the changes to heavy rejected truth to give you increased pushback, combos that would leave you a little farther away from the corner are now able to put you into ideal ranges to actually go corner to corner. That, in addition to the new Pact kick follow-up now being able to give you a wall bounce, you can get a little bit of extra damage before you cash on out. Check out this combo here from Gurafu. Really cool stuff. The previous combo is what you can get when you're able to force the opponent into a crouching state. Fame has a good combo that I think you can use against a standing state opponent. Avatar Belial has always been a very squishy, hyper-offensive character whose first goal is to hit you and then kill you for that hit. In return, you are able to do the same thing to him by virtue of his lower than average life total. This patch effectively doubled down on that, as was their intent, as you are able to now get better mid-screen routes that allow you to go coast to coast. However, you are spending all of your life to do so because you're doing this off of the heavy follow-ups of your moves. As Zane has stated to me, he was able to do a day one corner-to-corner route. However, that very combo cost him 30% of his health. This is a little bit of a troublesome thing for Avatar Belial because it seems like he is just as reliant on spending health in order to get the access to his high rewards, which means he's overall going to be far more volatile and squishy as you try and push his combos to their utmost limit. Granted, he does see some buffs to his zoning gameplay as well, which is nice as it lets him control the match from a slower pace and be able to kind of keep some opponents out as it is. But it doesn't fix the core issues with the character, which is his reliance on spending health in order to get that damage. Along with that, while the system mechanic changes do slow the game down a little bit by virtue of getting less reward off of ultimate skills or fuzzy mashing defense OSs that lead into raging strike and chain combos, characters themselves have been buffed across the board to have better combo routes from the mid-screen towards the corner. The cast itself is doing higher than average damage than they used to before, with more and more characters being able to go corner to corner or from mid-screen into the corner and get meaningful extensions, whereas that was a privilege that only a handful of characters had before. This shift in the gaming environment means that Avatar Belial is even more vulnerable to these characters getting these big combos on him and deleting his health bar as able to commit to it. The changes are nice, as Zane says, but they are still going to be this whole environmental issue for Avatar Belial, where his life is on a knife's edge, and he's still going to be as inconsistent in tournament performances as before because of it. He's a high-risk, high-reward character, and if that is your way to play the game, he's the character for you, but don't consider him to be a stable top-tier character anytime soon. It's cool to see all these changes in action, but we'll have to see how he's going to perform overall. Big shouts to Zane as well for helping me work on this video and talking over some of the tech with me as well. Massively appreciated. Now somebody sponsor that man. He deserves it.